Now let's take a look at the dialog management that exists in the Android operating system. Basically, in Android, your dialogues can be managed by the activity, or you can manage the dialog yourself. It's always preferable to let Android manage the dialogues because it's going to optimize for memory management and it's going to try and reuse dialogues when possible. So looking at this diagram here, you can see there are several different methods that are called by you or called by the Android operating system. The methods that are in green are methods that you call, and the methods that are in blue are methods that you provide overrides for that Android calls. So if we look at the basic flow of how a dialog works when Android manages the dialog, is you would basically call the method showDialog, and you're going to pass to that an integer that uniquely identifies your dialog. Then what will happen is Android will call onCreateDialog if it's the first time that that dialog has been created, and then it'll call onPrepareDialog right before it displays the dialog. Then it'll display the dialog, and that dialog will be continued to be displayed until you call either dismissDialog or removeDialog. If you call dismissDialog, Android will keep your dialog around in memory, and the next time that you call showDialog on that same dialog, it will not call onCreateDialog, but instead just call onPrepareDialog and show it again. And that's where it's going to save some memory and resources, and that's really where the benefit is to using Android's built-in dialog management. If you want to recreate the dialog, instead of calling dismissDialog, or at any other time, you can call removeDialog and pass in your dialog, and Android will release that dialog from memory and call onCreateDialog again the next time it's created. So that'll allow you to regenerate the entire dialog. This is pretty useful in instances where a lot of the content in your dialog is dynamically generated, or the dialog itself is dynamic, so that when you redisplay that dialog, you want that screen to be reset, or you want there to be different buttons or options available based on what's happening in the application. If you don't use removeDialog and you just use dismissDialog and then show the dialog again, what can happen is that it will save the state of when the dialog was first created, and so you won't be able to populate that new data or recreate that dialog. Also, if you just need to make a minor modification to the dialog, you can not call removeDialog, but instead use the onPrepareDialog and make your changes or update the thing that is dynamic in your dialog.